Sam Alvey, thank you very much for joining me. So, we always start the pod the exact same way. I'm just going to ask you, in your own words, who is Sam Alvey?
Who is Sam Alvey? Sam Alvey's a family man, God fearing American boy. I've been happy from the day I was born, and I've got no intentions of changing that. I've got a beautiful family, a wonderful wife, and I know no matter what happens, God's got my back. So there's no reason not to smile every day.
Absolutely, and that is it, smiling Sam Alvey. So, a lot of people in the combat sports space, or I should say outside of the combat sports space, have a perception of fighters of being like aggressive people in their day-to-day lives. But you're a prime example, and a lot of the guys who I know and who I train with are such like kind-hearted people. Have you like ever come across people in day-to-day life and they've been surprised when they meet you that you're a very just fun, happy-go-lucky guy?
You know, everyone does. The fighters have a bad idea about them, and it's not. I mean, I don't know that I've ever met a bad good fighter. The bad fighter, the angry ones are the bad ones, like the guys that never quite made it, that have a 1-14 professional record. Those guys are the dinkheads that ruin it for everyone else. Those of us that have done it forever and have made a living doing it, and that are good enough to hold our head up high and say, "Yeah, we're professionals and we're good." We've been humbled 10,000 times in the gym, and we know at any given moment there's somebody out there better than us. So we better mind our P's and Q's and be as polite as we can, so we don't try and find them.
Absolutely. And as you say, you have made a career out of it. You've been around a very long time in the combat sports space. So, professional MMA, I believe your record is 34, 18, and 1. But all in all, I understand you've got like upwards of 80 professional fights.
Yeah, I've got over 80 fights. I was just fighting before they were keeping records. So being the old guy in the sport sprung up on me. I felt like I was young, and then all of a sudden, every time I go to a fight, you got kids saying, "Oh, I grew up watching you." I say, "Well, damn, when did that happen?" Say, "Oh, I'm still young," and then I do the math. Like, oh, I'm not that young anymore.
But there you go. And then to look at, your post UFC career now being in karate combat and
Mhm.
the champ of karate combat.
That's right.
At 39 years old currently, and obviously now still hanging on to one of those belts. But how did it sort of feel to a relatively young promotion to be the first person to go champ status and be holding two belts?
They'll never take it from me. The rest of forever. Karate Combat. I was the first and only champ. I was the first and only guy to hold the light heavyweight and heavyweight. I was able to prove I was the greatest that's ever been in two different weight classes. And I am so proud of what I was able to do and how my family was able to help me do it. It was just a dream come true.
Yeah. So as you mentioned there, you are a family man. I believe you have six kids. Is that right?
That is correct. So we're not done. We just don't have another one coming yet.
Nice. So six kids. You have a wife who has a full-time job, as well, I believe. And
No, no. So she's becoming a midwife. So I've been blessed, and my wife has been a stay-at-home mom my kid's whole career. Although she's smarter than I ever could be. She's got 2 degrees, and now she's a midwife as well. She's got this. So the gal's brilliant, and she wanted to be a neonatal surgeon. That was her goal. Then we had our first kid, and said, "Yeah, I don't want to go to school for another 8 years." Said, "I don't blame you." And so she switched. She managed some fighters. She managed me throughout my career, and then she just ran the homestead. About 2 years ago, she wanted to get back into the baby business, and she was looking at a midwifery. Now she graduated midwifery school, and she's going to be a fully licensed midwife here in about 2 or 3 months.
yeah, no, that's amazing because I saw that when I was doing my research for the pod. I came across when you were saying, and this was about 6 months ago, saying she was doing the training, and that was going to be
Mhm.
one of my questions was how is she getting on? And then you said yesterday she'd been called away to go and attend a birth, and I was like, oh, she's there, but now just nearly at the finish line.
Yeah, so the one that so she's delivering babies, catching babies, it's just under somebody else's name. I think she needs like 4 more births until she's licensed. But her friend, her childhood friend, just had birth, got the call Tuesday saying, "Hey, I'm going into labor." My wife would just kill herself if she wasn't there for a friend. So she drove up there, or flew up there, and she made sure she was there for a friend.
Yeah, no, of course. But that's amazing. So what I mean to say is you run a very busy household and
Oh goodness, yes.
you're balancing being on top of the karate combat world. What does a day look like for you when you're training for these big world title fights?
Yeah, so I wake up. I'm up at about 5:30. I start getting the kids out of bed so they can go to school. I'll make them breakfast. I'll make them lunch. I'll get everything ready that way. Then I get them out the door. Two of them go to a public school, so we put them on the bus, and then the three oldest ones, they go to a private school. I drive them to the private school. I teach them about the world in the 15 minutes it takes me to get there, and then I go to my first gym. I'm at my first gym for about an hour and a half. That's lifting, a lot of cardio, a lot of lifting. I'm getting as big as I can. From there, I go to my jiu-jitsu gym, or my MMA gym, or my boxing gym. I go to my other gym, and I work out for another hour or two. Then I come home. I eat two or three dozen eggs because I've got a ranch and I have a lot of chickens now, so I've got all the eggs I'll ever need. So I have a huge omelet every day, and then I start doing my farm chores. I take care. We just got two new horses here about 3 days ago. I had to drive across. I drove like 15 hours to get them, but I got them. Put them out on the opened the doors to them yesterday, and they don't like me yet. Like they're still scared of me, so I've got to go out. I got to make sure they calm down with me. That they'll start coming up to me, and eventually we'll end up riding them. Uh, but I've got the sheep and the goats, and we had our hay bale. There's always something to do, and I do that for most of the afternoon. I go pick my kids back up from school. I go to more gyms, and then I come home and I try and go comatose as soon as I can.
Yeah, so I'm curious. Did you grow up around like farm work? Because with the power you're putting through people's chins, there's a certain type of training that generates that, but a
Yeah,
lot of it you see is farm strength.
yeah, I wish. No, I grew up on a lake. I fished. Fishing has not done anything for my career. Uh, no, I don't know where the power came from. Every fighter has a gift. I hit pretty hard. That is my gift. And I was able to turn it, that was my only gift, was I could hit pretty hard. And I was able to find a way to turn that into a career.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, a 60% KO rate across all of your wins, which, that's a lot of fights. So it speaks for itself. And we saw arguably the biggest one of your career to win that heavyweight belt against Tyrone Spong. Now,
Hmm.
Tyrone Spong has been around the sport probably as long as I've been alive. He's a legend of the sport, had however many fights, absolutely a freak athlete.
Hmm.
Going into that fight with Tyrone Spong, how confident were you in a pure striking match against somebody of his caliber, where, like you say, you have God-given power, but guys like that, they're looked at as just a different level of being when it comes to the striking world.
Yeah, so he actually held the record for world's strongest punch for a long time. Then Francis Ngannou took it from him, and then Alex Pereira took it from Francis Ngannou. So he held that record. He hits pretty hard too. I just felt confident. I at no point, and it's ignorance is bliss. I knew who he was, but I wasn't, studying everything he's ever done. Uh, and I know I go into every fight knowing I can win, knowing it's my fight to lose. Um, and I just go out there confident every time.
Yeah, and clearly with good reason. So, from what I could find, you were a plus 350 underdog in that
Yeah,
fight, and
that's so lucky.
and it only took a couple of rounds, and that was that. Obviously, that is the fight that made you the champ in karate combat.
Mhm.
And as you say, can never be taken away from you. Going into your next fight against Despania, you ended
Woo.
up losing that fight against the world's giantest man, and now I believe you're coming back down to 205 for the first
Yeah, he
time
chased me
in a
out of
little
heavyweight.
while.
Now, that boy, like I knew he was big. Like I knew I've seen him, I've talked to him, I've shook his hand. I knew he was big. But when I got down in that pit with him, it's like, oh God, you're really big. I remember sitting across the pit, just Oh my God, you're every bit of 285 pounds and you're 6'7" at least. A just massive human being. And it was another fight. I was confident. I knew at no moments was I going to lose. I was going to win that fight. I was going to drop that big guy. And nope, didn't go according to plan that time.
I saw an interview of you before the fight where you said, I think you were being interviewed. I can't remember the fella's name, but he was a friend of yours, and he was saying like, "Are you crazy? Like, what possesses you to go into these fights?" And what you said was like, no matter what happens in the fight, you'll have that experience to pass down through generations of taking the hard fights and taking the hard choices in life. So, how do you feel coming out the back end of that fight where it didn't go your way, but knowing you've got those photos, you've got the evidence, you were David fighting Goliath, and you can pass that down to your kids and future generations?
Yeah, well, of course, I would have felt better had I won. But yeah, getting my head kicked in was a close second. uh, it was just, I was offered the opportunity to defend my belt and do it against somebody who he's an Olympic bronze medalist. I was given the opportunity to compete against somebody who just outweighed me by 50 pounds. It was taller than me by 6 inches. Was just a massive man and skilled on top of it. And I could not pass it up. If you offered me a rematch against him, I would take it today. I would train a little. I would do. I don't know what I would like. Honestly, I don't know what I would do different. He's a big dude, so yeah. I try not to get hit a little bit harder. Maybe you can't really wrestle all that much in karate combat, but maybe I'd find a way to wrestle a little bit more.
So that in itself is actually an interesting point to bring up. So going from professional MMA, where obviously you've spent the large majority of your life and career, to karate combat where it is 99% standing. You know, you see the odd little bit of like clinches and whatnot, but it's a stand-up sport. How does your training look different? Because I've actually seen you say you've never done so much jiu-jitsu now that you're in
Yeah.
karate combat.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I joined karate combat and I started doing jujitsu constantly. That is, it's just the way my training works out. Jujitsu is outside of wrestling. Jujitsu is one of the best ways you're going to get athletic. It's a constant grind as you're doing it. So, and that was what I have the most of out here. Now, since saying that, I've also found a boxing gym. Bill Taylor's corner champion boxing, and it's fantastic. And I'm boxing now as well as jujitsu. I might be boxing more than jujitsu now. I got to get ready for that Jake Paul fight. Ah, but
Yeah.
no, it's just I love competing in everything, whether it's jujitsu or boxing or taekwondo or point sparring or heavy, whatever it is. I love competing.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, you know, I remember maybe not this time last year, maybe 8, 9 months ago, you were pushing for the Jake Paul fight, but you were also really pushing for a fight with the world's strongest man, Eddie Hall, who,
I wanted to fight Eddie Hall, and everyone thinks it was like a junk college. Oh, what are you gonna fight? He's a fighter, of course. You, but dude's 400 pounds and stronger than I could ever wish to be. I think it's a very fair fight. All he's got to do is get a hold of me. That's it. I'm like, if he were to squeeze me, I'm. Could he squeeze me unconscious? Maybe he might be able to.
so do you think that one's dead in the water, or do you think there's still a possibility there?
Yeah, so I was told Karate Combat reached out to him and he didn't really want the fight, so he outbid himself. He said, "Yeah, I'll fight him for 2,500,000 dollars." And so the Karate said, "Well, we can't afford that." So, "Oh, then I guess I'm not fighting him." That's what I was told happened. So he didn't want it, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, hey, that's a big compliment. When you see the side when he's getting in with like Marius or Halford Bjornsson, who are these huge
Yeah.
people, that just sort of says just how hard you punch. He doesn't want any of Smiling Sam.
Can you blame him? I can't blame him.
I tell you what, I've met Eddie. That's a big man. That's a
I
big, it's a big
he
man.
seems, and honest, he seems like just a great dude. I would love to, whether we fight or not, I'd love to go to dinner with him. I just think he'd be a blast.
Yeah, but anyway, back to what looks like it is next for you, which looks like you're going to be back in the pit, and I would assume it's going to be the Uriah Hall fight.
Hmm.
After his big win a couple of weeks ago, with a fantastic stoppage victory, I think that's the fight that makes the most sense and the one that everybody, including me, wants to see.
Yeah, I've wanted to fight Uriah Hall for years. I wanted to in the UFC. It just never worked out. He passed me up in the rankings and never looked back. It never quite worked out, but I always wanted it. I was hoping I'd catch him on his rise. And it just, the timing never worked out. Now we get that chance. We're both older, OG fighters. I think he's a little older than me even, which is hard to find in this sport. And I've always liked him. I've gotten to talk to him a couple times. Seems like a nice guy, super entertaining fighter, and getting the opportunity to compete against him is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would be the first time in quite a few fights that you've been back down at 205.
Yeah.
How not daunting, but how much are you not looking forward to
No.
having to cut that weight?
No. Yeah. I've already started. So it's not cutting; it's dieting. I've already started dieting. I got up to about 245. I'm down to about 239 right now, and it's like, man, I got to lose another 25 pounds and then cut a bunch too after that. Like, God, it's miserable.
I saw you say in one of your interviews that the biggest weight cut you've ever done was 42 pounds in 10 days and
11 days,
20
but yeah,
in and
yeah,
then
that
20
one.
is this the same weight cut 22 pounds in 24 hours as well?
Yes, and
Same
what a
time?
mistake that was. But
Was
oh,
that
never
UFC?
again. Yeah, that was. I don't even remember the guy I fought. It was over in Poland,
Hmm.
and I missed weight. I did not. I think it was a pound and a half overweight, and oh, I did everything I could. And it will haunt me forever. Like it is. That is what I'm more ashamed about than any loss I've ever had. Well, was that I missed weight once, and I hate myself for it.
Yeah, so not making that mistake again. It sounds like you're already closer to fight weight than you were for that one.
Yeah, yeah. And plus, I told him I said, I'm going to need 2 solid months of training. Uh, I got big for Rebellis. It just wasn't quite big enough.
Yeah. So, but there's no worries there for you. You're like, 205's where you belong in karate combat, and you're
Yeah,
going back down to there.
yeah, yeah. And it's funny. The Rebellis, he's not even the biggest heavyweight in karate combat. There are a couple of guys that made him look small. Er, uh, so yeah, I'm out of heavyweight unless they need me. I'll go back up, but I'm hoping they don't need me.
Yeah, and I mean, through karate combat, you've been unbeaten at 205. So,
Yeah.
how much confidence do you take going back down to a much more natural weight class for you against other big guys, but a similar size to yourself? How much more confidence do you take knowing that you're looking across the pit at someone the same size as you?
It's my belt. They've got to take my belt. They just have being able to say it's my belt is a huge weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So moving on from the Uriah Hall fight, I'm assuming you're more than happy in karate combat, and that's where your future lies.
Yeah, I'm loving Karate Combat. They've been taking care of me. They're paying me well. They're flying me around the world. They're treating me nicely. I was the first double champ. I'm a big fan of the Karate Combat system. I think they put on a good show, and I think they've got people running it that really respect the fighters.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one thing you can see, I think, from the outside looking in is they care about the fighters and they care about how the event looks, which is
Mhm.
quite refreshing in combat sports where we quite often just get met with a a bland product because they can rely on the fights. If they know
Hmm.
the fights are going to deliver, it's uniform package deal. Whereas with Karate Combat, it seems like every show they try and bring something new and something different, ranging from the submission only matches all the way through to the striking matches.
Hmm.
It really seems like a great promotion.
Yeah, they go out of their way to make sure that people enjoy watching it. I prefer now UFC. They've got an advantage, and they have name recognition. You can recognize the fighters who are fighting. Karate Combat's not quite there yet. And if you know a fighter or know of a fighter in the organization, it makes it so much more fun to watch. If you've met a fighter once, like you met Eddie Hall once. Whoever he fights next, I'll bet you're solidly in Eddie Hall's corner. You are not going to miss it because you met him once. UFC has that. Even if you haven't met Justin Gaethje, you've been watching him for years. You feel like you know him. I'm gonna watch that Justin Gaethje fight. That's the one part that Karate Combat doesn't quite have yet, but they're working on it. They started doing it with me. They brought in Benson Henderson once before. They've got Uriah Hall now. They're bringing in talent from outside of outside organizations that have a name to give the viewers even more fun to watch. And they do this creator content creator series where they have guys that like have Twitter pages or Instagram or TikToks, and they have them fight each other, which is I love that too. It's a bunch of guys that aren't great at fighting, but are going to get in there and get hit in the face once or twice. I just love it.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like they're doing a really good job of getting eyes on the product, and that's the content creator series, as you say, is a great way of doing that. One
Mhm.
correction on what you just said there is, I did meet Eddie Hall, and I'd always back him in a fight, unless he's fighting Smiling Sam, because now
Hey,
I've
my
met you,
man,
sir, and
my
you'll be
man.
getting my vote in that one. So, moving away from karate combat and sort of focusing more on yourself, one thing that I know that you're very proud of and you've maintained as a streak is you post a psalm every single day on Instagram. Can you
Mhm.
just talk to me about why you do that and who you're hoping to share that with?
It's I just started doing it 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. Just started doing it. I got put on a Bible verse a day list. I get emailed the Bible verse every day, and I was reading them. I said, I'll copy and paste it, and I've just been doing it. Now it's like part of my routine. I wake up, I go to my email, I see the verse, and I've got two or three that come to me, and I pick which one I want to post, and it's a good way to keep me reading the Bible at least a little bit every day, and I get to share my passion for Christ. And 10 to 1, I get more comments or likes on stories on my Instagram stories on that than anything else. And it's really rewarding is the wrong word, but it's really comforting, knowing that there's people out there watching what I'm doing and appreciating that what I'm doing is for the love of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, that's it's amazing. It's amazing that you get to share your love for your faith with so many people. I mean, you've got 300,000 people on your Instagram. I imagine a massive proportion of those are seeing your stories every day. So that's a lot of people who are going to be receiving that message. But through being a man of faith and being so passionate about it, how do you feel that helps you when you're going into these fights with these giants or these legends of the sport where, as you mentioned earlier, like you're doing all things in the name of Jesus? How do you feel that helps you?
I have nothing to fear. Win, lose, whatever. It is part of his plan. I said it after Julian Marquez fight. It was the last minute fight, and I ended up losing. I got choked out in the second. I didn't tap. I woke up on the mat. I said, "Oh, well, damn." I got backstage. I said, "You know what? I'm going to tell my followers I'm okay." And so I started talking. I teared up. I didn't quite cry, but it was close. And I didn't know what I was going to say, but what came out is his plan is greater than mine. God bless. I wish our plans lined up more often, but I know whatever the plan is, his plan's better than mine. Uh, and it just kind of clicked right then. It's like, that's 100% true. So whether I win or lose, it doesn't make any real difference. It is part of a bigger plan. It is. I need to take every loss, every win, every victory, every defeat, and I need to find a way to make that a preaching His word to bring others closer to Him. And I've never not done that, and now I do it as visibly as I can.
Yeah, and you say there about helping others. I'm curious. So on your social media, on your Instagram, you've got listed about helping men level up with the fighter's mindset and working one to one with yourself. I'm just curious what that looks like and what it is that you're offering in this one to one.
Yeah, so I've got something called School, Skool. It's an online training program where you work with me virtually, and if we can ever work it out in person too, but virtually primarily. And I've got hours of workouts, hours of techniques, hours of training like that. But then you also get to talk to me directly, and I help walk you through whatever it is you're looking for. If you need help outside of fighting, I'll do everything I can as a coach. If you need help planning for an upcoming fight or recovering from an injury. I honestly, I've been doing it for so long. I've been there, I've done that, and I know what has worked, and I know what I've done that hasn't worked. And I try to be as good an asset to any young athlete, old athlete, just some guy who wants to pay attention to fighting, understand fighting a little bit more. I try and be a coach in that regard, and I've made it as inexpensive as I can make it. And it's been going very well. People have been very pleased with it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And if anyone listening to this is interested in that, I believe the link in your bio takes you directly to it. That's right, isn't it?
That's right. Smiling and sweating. Smiling and striking is what it is. Smiling and striking.
Always smiling, always smiling. That's fantastic. So, if we're heading home now, we're getting to the end of my questions, but I do have one question, and I've through all of my research over the last few days, I've not been able to find an answer for this. Right?
Okay.
What is the baby emu's name?
That we have. I can show you the baby.
Oh, please do. I
Yeah.
was very excited when I saw this
Yeah. So there, right there. Sorry, I'm gonna set the phone down and unzip it. Oh.
because I believe we've got Cindy Lou and Ned, the original two.
Yep. Yep. All right. Here's my baby emu.
That is
It's just
fantastic.
the goofiest looking thing that's ever been.
Yeah.
We don't have it named yet.
Oh,
We're gonna wait till it gets a
exciting.
little bit bigger and starts hanging out with its mom and daddy outside first.
Mm,
Yeah, this is woo, then we're down.
that's
We
amazing.
got
That's
here's
amazing.
our
I love,
indoor chicken coop. It's
oh yeah, all in there
chick
together.
chick season. So we had our chicks delivered, and now we've got to raise them inside until it gets warm enough for them outside.
That's amazing. So the last time I heard you do a head count, you said you had 108 heartbeats on the farm. I'm curious now if it's chick season, the horses, the new emu,
Yeah,
roughly how many there are now.
roughly it's about the same. I've gotten rid of. We lost a horse 2 weeks ago. By lost, I mean it died.
Hmm.
Um, and she was an old mare, so it was her time. And I had to get, I got finally got rid of these two pigs we had. I didn't like these pigs. We finally got rid of. They kept getting out of my fence. They kept leaving where they're supposed to be and going into my neighbor's yard. And my
Yeah.
neighbors just like, get them out of my yard. Okay, okay, I'm trying. And I'd just be back there like we got rid of them. But then chick season, we're probably real close to the same. We're gonna have to tally it up, but we're probably still real close to um, around 100 to 110.
Wow. No,
Hmm.
that's amazing. I don't know how you're managing to fit in what sounded like roughly like 4 to 5 hours a day of training during training camp.
Oh, and then one part, we've got a food truck too, my wife and I do. And
That's amazing.
that's another little side job I do whenever I get bored.
Oh, that is so good. I mean, it's great to hear, these days fighters, athletes in general, social media influencers, I feel everyone's very serious. Everyone's very like they like to portray like a real hustle culture of like I get up and I grind all day every day. It sounds like you just go wherever your passion takes you and you're passionate about animals and farming and fighting and family and food trucks and all the F's. You're all the F's.
I've been blessed. I have been blessed. Like I said, I don't know what the good Lord's plan is for me, but I feel I've been sticking to it pretty well. And He wants me to work in the food truck. He wants me to have the chickens. He wants me to have the emu. He wants me to do this stuff, and I'm happy to do it for him.
That's yeah, incredible. So we always try and wrap up the podcast the same way. I like to think anyone who comes on will stop by again at some point, and we can sort of look back at the progress of their career. I had a guy on earlier at 24 years old, whole career ahead of him. I've had fighters on who are much further down their career or retired. But I like to finish a podcast by asking where do you see yourself in a year's time?
1 year's time. I will be the most dominant karate combat champion. I think I need to defend my belt two more times, and then I will hold the record for most title defense. And I will have boxed Darren Till. All in the next year, that's going to happen.
Is that the goal? That's the goal.
That's the
Is
goal.
Darren
That,
Till in boxing?
yeah, I like Darren Till. I always have. We're roughly the same weight class. I think he's the champion of the Misfits
The
at 200
Misfits.
pounds. I could make 200 pounds. We'll get it done. We're gonna make it. I'm gonna make it happen.
100%. If that's in the UK, I'm all over that. I will
Yeah,
be
I'll get
there.
you tickets. I'll get you
I will
tickets.
be there. So I'd like to thank you very, very much, Sam. Obviously, this is going to be like episode 4 of the podcast, and you're the champ, and you've blessed us with your time. I'm very, very grateful. I know everyone listening is going to enjoy this thoroughly. So I want to say thank you very much.
Oh, you are very welcome. And thank you for having me on. You did a wonderful job too. I know it's a young podcast, but you kept it was good information, well informed, and you say it in an interesting way. So congratulations on that.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Good luck with everything you've got coming up. Good luck to your wife on the last few months of midwifery college. That's the right term.
Yeah.
And I look forward to talking again soon.
All right, we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sam.
All right, catch you later, brother.
Bye bye. Take care.